Our buddy BGB, what's up, big game?
No, what's up, guys? How's it going? No, I got this shirt when I was out in Provo a couple weeks ago.
I saw you. How was it out there?
Dude, it's awesome. That scenery out there for that football game with that backdrop of those mountains is incredible. You got to check it out.
For sure. Yeah, I've heard. I've actually had a couple buddies that have gone and watched them play. How was the atmosphere?
It was great. I mean, for a 60,000 seat stadium, I mean, that place was rocking. In-state rivalry. It was a great time. Met a lot of great people up there. Got to check it out.
Yeah, you ended up seeing a pretty good game. I mean, Utah State put up a hell of a fight.
Yeah, Utah State looking pretty good, beating Air Force last week. So maybe the change at quarterback was working for them.
Yeah, I mean, you look, they took out Logan Bonner and put in this little witch. I call him Stetson 2.0. He's like a little Stetson. Watch him play a little bit faster, but they play kind of very similar, about the same size. BGB, we wanted to do our tiers list today, so we will start with yours. Explain us your tiers. I want to tell the people tier 1 is obviously the best teams in college football. Tier 2 is the group of second best. Tier 3 is who's on the periphery that we think still has a chance. BGB, take us through your scroll, my friend.
All right, so tier 1 is I think everyone has. I would say these are the bona fide, probably 3 top dogs in college football right now: Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State. I think all 3 of them are locks for the college football playoff right now, unless something crazy happens. So I've got them at 1. Tier 2 is the teams that I think have proven that they're contenders to be in the college football playoff. So you've got Clemson, Penn State, Tennessee, Oklahoma State, and UCLA. Their resumes are solid, and I think they're legit contenders. Tier 3 are teams that I think are contenders, but they're still a little unproven to me. Like you got Michigan. I think Michigan's a good team, but I think they've played a cupcake schedule so far. And we'll finally see. It's October 11th, and they're finally playing a decent football team. So that'll be good. TCU, I think that they're a contender. USC hasn't really played. Same with Ole Miss. I think they're good. I mean, I feel like the game against Kentucky, Will Levis more kind of gave that game away more than them winning. So we'll find out against Auburn. Auburn has had their number in the Grove. So we'll see. And then NC State, Mississippi State, Wake Forest, I think are all teams that are contenders, but still need to do something to prove it to get into that second tier.
Yeah, I see Penn State there in tier two, Boomer. How do you kind of see that game going this weekend? It is, Penn State's been tested somewhat. You go to Purdue, Purdue's looking a lot better now after winning on the road at Minnesota, and then last week as well at Maryland. Those are 2 really nice wins. Hey, they could still win the Big Ten West, Coney.
They could, like we were talking about.
Still do
they
it.
Still can.
But when you look at this game, I feel like people are kind of sleeping on Penn State a little bit. I don't want to make my prediction on this game, but I mean, Sean Clifford's been there since the end of World War II.
Yeah. It seems like Sean Clifford and Spencer Sanders have been at their schools for forever. I mean, this is the first year in a while that Penn State's been able to run the football effectively with Nick Singleton. So that's big for them. I mean, Sean Clifford, whether you like the guy or not, he's come up clutch for them, especially in that Purdue game. He's got some good wide receivers with Parker Washington and Mitchell Tinsley. So they're going to test Michigan. It's an 11 o'clock game. I mean, we'll find out if Michigan's for real, because I think Penn State's going to go in there and give them everything that they want down there in Ann Arbor. So that's a good game for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. Let's go ahead and show them ours.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go ahead and bring up ours. Here is our tiers of college football. In tier 1, we've got Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and Clemson. The reason we put Clemson in there is because we've seen kind of the adjustment that DJU has made. We've seen kind of the growth of that a little bit. And the biggest question was, and it has been for a little bit, can that offense at least be good enough to let give that elite defense a chance and give their team a chance to win games against Alabama and Georgia and Ohio State? And what we've seen from DJU and a little bit from these other teams, when you look at it, Bama struggled a little bit here and there. Ohio State against Notre Dame a little bit, but they really came on lately. CJ seems to be getting some good rapport with Marvin Harrison Jr. and those guys. And then obviously Georgia with the Kent State struggling a little bit, then on the road at Missouri, which that's not an easy game. I feel like we had 4. I feel like we could put Clemson up there. And I'm going to be honest with you, Boomer, and Blaine, I want you to talk about this for a second before we go to our second tier. We almost put Tennessee up here.
I don't know how you...
You look at Tennessee right now. Well, I mean, what team can they not run with in the country?
I'm sorry, Blaine. You're starting to win me over.
What
dog.
team? Like, I
it's
said
just
this,
defensively though. Like you lose.
I know.
Oh boy, gets arrested in the secondary, the safety.
I know.
And then you have the corner Burrell that goes down. I mean, you're one injury away.
But they're not the best defense. All right, and I know if we try to really judge them off the LSU offense is not good. All right, it's not good. They haven't been able to run the ball all year. Jane Daniels done a decent job in the passing game. He's one read guy, but you can watch this team. And you watch the way Georgia's playing. Georgia was going to figure it out sooner or later. They somewhat figured it out against Auburn. Alabama, you watch how Alabama plays. You know, there's certain things that they're better than Tennessee has, but Tennessee's not getting blown out by either of them. And Tennessee has a chance to win this game in 4 quarters against both those teams. Yeah. You got the experienced quarterback. Your defensive line is playing well, and that was the biggest question about Tennessee. You have 2 NFL linemen. Cedric Tillman, your best receiver, has not been playing. So you put these guys on a neutral field with their mentality right now, you can't sit here and tell me they don't have a chance to beat Alabama.
And it's not even a neutral field this weekend. It's at home. That place is going to be absolutely rocking, David.
Yeah. It's going to be insane.
Yeah, well, to me, this is the biggest weekend in college football because we have, 12 or 13 teams on this list here with our 3 different tiers. Yep. We're about to find out a whole lot more about half of them. Half of them. I mean, Alabama's going to Tennessee. You can say, well, if Bryce Young doesn't play, then that's an asterisk on the game. It doesn't matter. We're going to find out a lot more about both of those teams. Then we have Penn State going to Michigan. Yep. I want to know more. Everybody wants to know more about both of these teams. Penn State already has some great wins on their resume. Michigan does not, but Michigan's been playing better football. I mean, Boomer, you have Michigan in the same tier as NC State, let's say, who's had a little bit tougher schedule and their only losses at Clemson, but they haven't been playing as good a football to me. But is that just because of the competition? We're going to find out more. And then to me, USC and Utah. That's the one I really want to find out about because UCLA just beat Utah last week, and Utah was my Pac-12 champion before the season. And now USC, who's undefeated, is coming to town. And if you look at USC's schedule, if they somehow get by Utah here, Boomer, then they're going to go to Arizona, they're going to have Cal, and then they're going to have Colorado. This team could start off 10-0.
No, they really could. But Utah, to me, you're catching them with their back against the wall. This is a must-win for Utah if you want to have any chance of being able to win at the Pac-12, not really the Pac-12. But let's go to our second tier right here as well. So that's our first tier, or tier 2. This right here, you talk about moving day, Boomer. This is what we got. Tennessee, UCLA, Michigan, and Penn State. We've talked about Michigan. We talked about Penn State. UCLA, to me, Boomer, and tell me if you've noticed this, they're taking a playbook a little bit out of what we saw in the Big 12 last year with Baylor and Oklahoma State. Typically a somewhat finesse team, an offensive team that gives up a lot of points, has now flipped the script, and they are playing an unbelievably physical brand of football. Charbonnet going to UCLA has transformed that team Optimus Prime style from a team with DTR that's just trying to run around and trick you and dink and dunk and then take a shot and hope they can tackle you a couple times on defense. So we're going to line up and we're going to whip your ass while we're looking at you. And that's a totally different element than what we've seen from UCLA and really in the Pac-12 outside of Oregon and Utah here and there.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that Utah's defense would kind of slow down the running game at UCLA. Charbonnet, he had 200 yards against that Utah defense, which is pretty good against the run. So, I mean, DTR, the way he is playing right now, if he continues this throughout the whole season, I think he's going to be in New York at the end of the year. I think he's been that special. He's kind of playing. If you've watched those games, he's kind of playing with a chip on his shoulder. He seems to be playing very emotional, and he's very fired up. I mean, he can beat you through the air and on the ground. That Utah, or if UCLA and USC are undefeated going into that game, I think in late November. I mean, it's just nice to finally have like the Pac-12 to be talking about, in October.
Yeah,
seeing these teams being pretty legit.
Do we feel like we're not talking about Oregon enough? The only loss they have is
we're gonna get to tier 3 here in a second. I'm a little bit skeptical hippo on Oregon just because I know Bo Nix. I know what's gonna happen. Like it's
Auburn fans miss Bo Nix.
I know. I know. Well, I don't think Bo Nix could save them with the offensive line that they have right now. I mean, it would just be detrimental to his health at this point. Tier 3. I tell you, a team we may not be talking about enough is TCU, but we'll get to that in a second. TCU, Oklahoma State, Oregon, Ole Miss, USC, Mississippi State. Didn't have Wake in here. That was kind of a team we had. on the periphery a little bit. I know they played a hell of a game against Clemson, and they've looked pretty good. I mean, they beat the hell out of Army the other day, which is a lot easier said than done when you run what they run. But two teams on this list, and Blaine, I'll let you talk about Oregon. But Mississippi State and TCU. Mississippi State handed LSU that game. They dropped critical passes, and they dropped that punt to give LSU a chance to score. Mississippi State's dangerous, man. They're the more I watch them, they're the one team in the SEC I was wrong about. They're the one team I was wrong about. I thought they were an injury or two away on the offensive line from just being okay, and that Mike Leach wasn't going to make any adjustments. He wasn't going to continue to run, or he wasn't going to start running the ball more and things like that. He has. He's evolved. They're a very veteran group. They look pretty good. TCU, Max Duggan, veteran quarterback. They got, look, the group of receivers they got, I'll put them up against just about anybody when it comes down to it, outside of, save Ohio State. But TCU is a team that's scary as well, especially if that defense can continue tackling open space. I don't believe in Oklahoma State. I just don't believe in Oklahoma State. I don't believe in Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is a good team. I don't think they're a great team. I don't think Ole Miss is a team that's going to beat any team in Tier 2. I don't think they're going to beat any team in Tier 2.
Ole Miss?
Ole Miss. I don't believe in Ole Miss or Oklahoma State.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Are you saying Oklahoma State too?
I don't believe in Oklahoma State or Ole Miss.
That defense for Oklahoma State goes back to the same thing. That Central Michigan game is just sticking in my head.
I know.
And they got 50 dropped on them. Really didn't look great last week to come to defense. They got a couple guys on the D-line. And Spencer Sanders is a good college quarterback. He is. He can throw the ball decent. He runs the ball extremely well.
He's a good college quarterback.
Right, but once you
he's a diet Jalen Hurts.
Exactly. Once you get into the teeth of things where you're actually going to play teams who are good on both sides of the ball, that's where it kind of tails off. Because I don't want to get to the point, and we kind of see this, especially when we get into the playoff, that 4 team that's in is great on offense, but their defense is terrible, and sooner or later they just get mopped. All right, so at Oklahoma State, I feel like in the same vein. Ole Miss, you can put in the same vein.
Oregon, talk about Oregon.
Oregon, somewhat the same way. First of all, Bo Nix, I think is playing phenomenal right now.
Change of scenery. He won
what a great decision.
What a great
Congratulations, buddy. I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
Right now he's got 1,500 yards, guys. He's got 13 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and a completion percentage of 71.
That's Bo Nix?
That's Bo Nix.
That's Bo Nix?
So
okay, so compare those to the Hendon Hooker numbers we were talking about yesterday. I think he has 1,200 yards and 10 TDs. Now, he hasn't thrown any picks, but if Bo Nix is up there 70% with 1,500 yards and 13 TDs, come on, man.
Yeah, we could kind of point and see who's at fault here, but I think the Oregon defense right now has been the biggest letdown. You give up 44 against Washington State.
Especially with Lanning.
So it's going to come down to, especially in the Pac-12, I think it comes down to you're going to face a lot of great offenses. It's the Pac-12, but who has the best defense? And that's where almost UCLA is kind of making their separation.
Yourself? That's the thing. How do you separate yourself from your conference? How did Baylor and Oklahoma State separate themselves from the Big 12?
Defense.
Defense and physicality.
Yep.
That's what it was. How is UCLA separating themselves? A little different than USC. All right, UCLA to me, and look, is the defense great at UCLA? But some of these scores have been a little misleading. That 40-32 score really wasn't 40-32. UCLA was mopping them. Washington scored a couple garbage touchdowns late. I know they got it within one score. But Boomer, before we do let you go, Oklahoma. All right, we've talked about this. Coach Venables, I believe in him, man. It's going to take some time. They've got to add some speed to the secondary and to the linebacker core, but I thought they fought against Texas. I know it was an ugly final score, but I thought they came out and fought. Quinn Ewers, though, is going to be a problem for Sooners fans as long as he's there, but I expect to see a big jump in not only the overall athleticism from the defense in Oklahoma, but the overall play and depth that you see from them as a team. And, not having Dylan Gabriel, y'all basically had, 6'6" me at quarterback, except I'd have been way better.
Yeah, OU didn't stand a chance on Saturday. For me, I can't remember because I was a little kid in the 90s. I don't remember OU just getting their butt whooped like this week in and week out. This is a reality check for a lot of OU fans. And they're, I listen to talk radio here in Oklahoma. They're all blaming Lincoln Riley. They're all blaming, it's not, Lincoln Riley, he took Caleb Williams with him, a couple offensive guys, but no, I think one defensive guy left and went to USC. The defense is the biggest issue to me. They are getting just blown up at linebacker, secondary. This is going to take. They might not win another game this year. They're that bad.
Well, Boomer, I think too the answer is always somewhere in the middle. Lincoln Riley leaving obviously affects the program. Brent Venables coming in. Did you make enough moves? By the time you got in, you knew the weaknesses you had. Brent Venables is smart enough to know where you're weak and where you're not. I think the answer is somewhere in the middle. But I'm telling you, man, those that pile on Brent Venables, go ahead and do it now. Go ahead and do it now because I'm telling you, this guy's going to be fine. Oklahoma's going to be fine. I get it. It's ugly. It's like, you know, you all of a sudden, you know, you're a 10 that wakes up and you got a black eye. Yeah, you may not be a 10 for a couple weeks, but eventually that black eye heals. And guess what? You wake up a 10 again. But Boomer, it's always a 10 when you come on, my friend. Tell everybody where they can catch your work.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Big Game Boomer Show. Everywhere, cranking out lists and content all season long. It's crazy. We're in week 7 now.
I know. I almost don't even want to. Well, you know, you're like the two people I know that have the most lists are you and Santa Claus, my friend, and you always check it twice. I appreciate you, BGB. Talk to you next Tuesday.
All right, y'all. Take it easy.
Hey guys, hope you really enjoyed that content. Make sure you subscribe, not only here to YouTube, go and check us out at the Daily Wire Plus as well, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. But we appreciate you checking us out. Spread the word. We're growing like a weed. Just don't pick us out of the garden.